All right, Emma is here. She has resolved the web camera issues. I have had experience of locking myself out of an office 2 minutes before a webinar was meant to start and not being able to get back into the office. So I am very acutely aware of the panic that is delivered by not being online at the time that you're meant to be online. So Emma, I want to reassure you, you managed to join well before I managed to join on that day. So everything's all good. And thank you for joining us.
You're welcome, Ryan. It's ironic. I'm about to talk about how I work for a technology company. So, we've got to a really good start already.
Yes, technology. Gotta love it. All right. So, welcome everyone. Before we dive into the main content, there's a few important details I want you to keep in mind. So, firstly, we launched this series to hear from people and hear stories and insights on how different teams are building and what they're doing. And today we have Emma with us, and we want you to gain as much as possible from her experience. If you have any questions, please drop them in the Q&A section on the side or in the chat. We'll address questions either as we go if they're relevant to the content we're talking about, or we'll pick them up at the end as well. Throughout the session, we'll also be sending out a number of polls. The answers to these polls are anonymous, so people can't see what you've selected. We can't see what you've selected. So please be honest in your responses, because it'll give us all a valuable glimpse into how peers are feeling and the challenges that you're facing within your organizations. Okay, so joining me today is Emma Wu. Emma is Head of Customer Insights and Engagement and currently leads the VoC function at PEXA. I'd love to give you a more detailed intro to Emma, but she would do a much better job than I would, so I'm going to let her introduce herself.
Okay, thanks, Ryan. Hi, everyone, and thanks for your patience today. My name's Emma Wu, and I am the Head of Customer Insights and Engagement here at PEXA. I have over 10 years of experience in all things customer experience across a range of financial services and technology industries. I have a specific focus and I'm really passionate about CX transformation programs, designing and implementing voice of customer programs, and also driving organizational change that's centered around customer-centric culture.
Awesome. Thanks, Emma. And for those who don't know me, I'm Ryan Stewart. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Capiche, and I'm your guide on this journey through a ever-evolving landscape of customer experience, voice of customer analytics, and in particular on the changing front, AI. I've got close to 20 years of experience in natural language processing and AI, which now that I say that out loud is quite a lot of time, and an application in a range of different industries, including enhancing customer experiences. Join me as we dive deep into the world of insights, exploring the tools and tactics that are reshaping the way businesses understand their customers and getting those stories directly from the front line from people like Emma. So Emma, before we go any further, let's give folks a little bit more context around who PEXA are and what they do.
Yeah, absolutely. So PEXA, or Property Exchange Australia, connects people, businesses and governments across the property ecosystem through secure digital infrastructure, integrated solutions and actionable insights. We were formed in 2010 and we're now listed on the ASX, which is pretty exciting. And the PEXA group itself, what we have done is delivered a single national e-conveyancing solution to what was previously a 150-year-old paper-based property settlement process. So since 2013, we have facilitated more than 16 million property settlements, which equates to about approximately 20,000 home buyers and sellers, supporting them through that journey every week. It's a $3 trillion industry, so it's something that we take pretty seriously. And we're now leveraging our robust technology to expand into other markets internationally, like the UK, as well as growing into the property insights and data business as well.
And so basically, if you have purchased property in the last definitely 5 years, maybe even longer, you have probably either knowingly or unknowingly used the PEXA platform.
Yeah, absolutely. It's we're a B2B organization, so we help lawyers and conveyancers, and I think that helps to give you a sense of the type of customers that we work with, and what some of the things that we've done, particularly as a B2B organization, that we'll probably touch on later on through this chat.
So let's start by doing some myth busting. Over the years, as new technology has been introduced, people have been worried about the impacts on their world. Obviously, the topical one at the moment is AI, which is probably a pretty extreme version of this worry. Believe it or not, and I took a double take when I was writing this down, ChatGPT was released almost 2 years ago now, November of 2022. Insights and VoC was probably one of the job functions that felt this worry or anxiety about AI coming to take their job the most acutely. So tell me, Emma, do you still have a job?
Yes, I do. But I think the longer answer to your question, Ryan, is that it probably wasn't irrational for people in the VoC and customer insights industry to have this fear. We've seen such a rapid advancement in technology and particularly in generative AI across banking, human resources, that for an industry like ours in customer insights and voice of customer, where I think we do have some manual elements to the role, hands up if you've ever sat there manually reading customer feedback, trying to work out what theme it should be categorized into. I think there's naturally an opportunity for this to be replaced by technology. And so I think rightly that there's some fear about it.
Everyone that works at Capiche is made to do manual coding in their first week they join the company. So we are all very acutely aware of that pain. Okay, so we've busted the myth. Well, at least for now, that AI wasn't here to take the job. So let's get on to the good bits. You're here to share the journey that you and your team has been on and how you've been able to harness the power of AI instead of succumbing to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, spoiler alert, we not only still have jobs, but what I want to share with everybody today is how we've also been able to become a critical and trusted function in our organization. And we're pretty central to the decision making now. So it's something I'm quite proud of.
Okay, so let's set the scene. Give us an overview of where PEXA started before the transformation.
Okay, and it's really, it was really interesting to step back and really think about this because it actually has only been 18 months. So it feels like a long time. I think the saying is that the days are long, but the years are short. So we 18 months ago had scattered customer listening. We had lots of listening posts centered in one product and no listening in other products. We asked a lot of feedback from a particular customer segment and nothing from others. We knew what the key moments of truth were for our customers in certain customer journeys, but we didn't really ask them what their experience was like in those moments. We were struggling with about 5% response rates across our surveys. I mentioned before that we're a B2B company and our customers are lawyers, conveyancers, banks, property developers, so people who help those end home buyers and sellers. But in terms of a total customer base, it equates to about 10,000 or so. And when you're thinking about 5% of that, it translates to pretty low overall response volume. So not great data points to work with. And then when we did receive feedback from customers, the verbatim was really short. It was often one-word answers. You can see a couple of examples on the screen there, but good, bad, could be better. And, you know, when you're trying to manually code things like that, there's kind of one catch-all customer is happy theme, and pretty much all of the verbatim went into that box. So not really diving deep into the themes that we're hearing from our customers there. And even then, when we were getting all of that feedback, it was a pretty manual and cumbersome exercise to theme all of that feedback. It would take a team of three. So I have a team of three here at PEXA, 3 days a month to analyze and theme the last month's feedback. And then just it gets better. And then after that, there was no consistent manner of sharing these insights with the relevant product or tech teams that drove them to take action on it. So decisions were made with little input from our team and sporadic customer feedback or data to fuel them. We would often share really, really detailed analysis and reports, and then our stakeholders would just pop them into their metaphorical filing cabinet. And so it's a combination of all these different factors that made us realize that we could really approach customer insights in a different way.
Yeah, for sure. Very common themes that I've heard repeated across a bunch of people. You're obviously putting in a huge amount of effort to do the manual coding. 3 days a month across 3 people is not anything to sneeze at. Who at the business do you think valued this enough to warrant that kind of heavy manual lift?
Yeah, we were able to share our insights across various leadership teams, across our product and technology teams. So there was definitely an element of awareness that these insights were available to people. But I think there was also an element of people not really understanding the level of effort that went on behind the scenes to produce something bright and shiny at the end of it. And what they did see at the end, this really, really detailed report, it went for pages and pages. It gave them a lot of answers, but there was probably an opportunity for us to take that extra step and help them connect those answers with the questions that they were looking for. So the questions that they had were things like, what are the pain points that our customers have? How easy were they finding certain processes, stuff like that. But we didn't really have the time to do that with our stakeholders because our efforts were being sucked into all of these different manual processes just to pull the report together.
Yeah, and you mentioned earlier, and as you said, there's some examples on the screen. Some of the verbatims that you were getting back were very non-descriptive and lacked color. Why do you think that was?
It's pretty ironic, I think, when we think about how we designed our customer listing program. I mean, we are a customer experience team, but we didn't necessarily think about that end customer experience when we were pulling the program together. We just weren't asking for feedback at the right time. We were asking generic questions. We didn't care when and how customers gave us feedback, and we just asked them the same thing again and again. As I mentioned before, B2B company, 10,000 customers. It's a fairly limited customer base compared to other organizations. And so there really needed to be some smarts around kind of maximizing the level of insights that we're explicitly asking our customers for versus what are the things that we can infer from data or other behaviors that they're already interacting with us through.
Okay. Thanks for setting the scene. It paints a story to me of someone that's got a lot of work cut out for them. So ultimately, what changed?
Okay, so in 2023, we took a leap of faith and we embarked on a full-scale transformation of our Voice of Customer program. There were lots of things that we transformed. We firstly strengthened our executive sponsorship and introduced a new way of working. So I might touch on that one a little bit later because there's a couple of other juicy things that I want to get into on this particular slide. Other things we did were expanded our coverage of customer listings. So we now have built out listening mechanisms across a broader range of our product suite and our customer segments. We do now take into account key customer journeys and touch points. So that's really exciting. Something that's also really important is we've simplified our customer listening. Our surveys are shorter. They're to the point. We focus now on customer satisfaction as our hero metric consistently across all of our customer listening. And we've really gone back to basics in engaging with our customers. And so it's funny to say now, but we've taken a really customer-centric approach to asking our customers for feedback by being more specific. So instead of the standard, you'll have like a NPS, scale, and then you'll say, why did you give us this score? We've really changed it up. Now we ask things like, reflecting on the last 12 months, can you tell us about a really positive experience you've had? And this is done either in the moment as they're interacting with our product, or if we are going to do an email-based survey, and we still do have one, it's via an authentic and personalized email that comes directly from our frontline leaders that our customers recognize. And these frontline leaders will invite our customers to participate and will combine all of that with a bit of a close the loop process at that macro level by communicating the actions that we've taken with the feedback that the customers provided last time. So it's not just about tell us all your feedback again and again and again. We're going to give you something in return. Very much you told us this and therefore we've gone and done that.
I am so shocked, not really, that taking a customer-centric approach to asking for feedback yielded such positive results. And yes, a heavy dose of irony. It seems so obvious in hindsight when you do it, but it can be a scary change to make. I'm curious, hot button issue in this space, why CSAT and not NPS?
Yeah, so we used to measure a range of metrics, actually. So we had NPS, we had customer effort, and looking at all of these different metrics and understanding the reasons why we use them was a really big part of the simplification of our customer listening program. We really had to understand, why we were using these metrics, but then also what we were actually doing with that information. We operate in a pretty unique market position. So a metric like customer satisfaction resonates a lot more than something like NPS, which is a measure of advocacy. And so our various driver analyses that we were doing were telling us that the main driver of customer satisfaction is ease. And so we're capturing information about customer effort without needing to ask the question anyway. And it's a lot easier to align your organization around, one single metric and the drivers behind that metric, instead of spending time educating everybody about all of the different metrics that you have, how they're measured, how they're calculated. There'll be an inevitable question about, what if a customer tries to game it? What if we try and game it? All of that type of stuff. There's a different level of complexity involved when you're dealing with multiple metrics. And all of these things basically distract the organization from what our customers are actually telling us behind the number.
Yeah, I love that theme of simplification. What about your tech stack? Any changes there?
Just a couple. So as part of our program transformation, we realized that we needed something different from our voice of customer tool. Our existing one was doing the job, but we had pretty grand plans for our program. And so after using the same tool for about 5 or so years, we were keen to see if anything had changed in the market. And so we went out to the market, demonstrated what our requirements were, and tried to understand whether or not there was a partner out there who could work with us to deliver on these requirements and capabilities, and help to bring our program to the next level. So there was a pretty extensive process that we went through to land on a partner. And then there was a process involved in transitioning to a new voice of customer tool. But we feel that after this whole transition process, we're in a much better place. And we're so excited about what we've introduced so far and what we've got coming very, very soon. So, for example, we've introduced active listening and prompts. We now prompt customers as they're providing us with that verbatim feedback. So when a customer writes good, we ask them, why was it good? And we gamify the process a little bit as well when they're giving us feedback. So we're maximizing the level of insight that we gain from our customers. There's also an opportunity to leverage this capability to provide help and support in the moment, something that we're considering in the future, because that definitely increases our customers' options for self-service capability. And then at the same time, it reduces our cost to serve. I think the thing that I'm most proud of through this transformation and through implementing a new voice of customer tool is how we've kept our employee experience front of mind. And what we've done there is we've built an integration between our voice of customer tool and our CRM. And the main reason behind that is so that there's just one less system that our frontline teams need to access customer feedback. I don't know whether anyone on the call today has ever sat down next to, your call center agent, and you see that they have 50 systems on the screen, and yet, the conversation that they're having with a customer remains seamless. In our minds, it doesn't have to be that hard, and we should not be adding to that complexity. We should be an enabler and a supporter of our frontline teams to, help them deliver the best customer experience. And so through this integration, our frontline teams are able to see everything that they need to be able to support that customer. And so we're really adding to that 360-degree view of the customer. The other thing that's really cool about our integration is that we've built in that closed loop feedback process through the CRM as well. And so not only are our frontline team members closing the loop with dissatisfied customers who are giving them feedback, but they're also able to follow up on business opportunities too. And so this integration has not only saved the frontline team's time, simplified the number of systems that they need to use to do their day-to-day jobs, but it's also supporting revenue generation too. And I'm not sure how many organizations can say that their, CX or voice of customer program is actually, creating that direct linkage to return on investment. So that's pretty exciting. And then if it wasn't enough in that tech stack transformation, we also welcomed a new team member to our team, which is AI.
Uh, Before we get onto the AI team member, I am really detecting a common theme here of simplification, whether it's the surveys all the way through to meeting the frontline staff where they are and really simplifying their workflow to make it easy for them to put CX front and center. And it seems so obvious when you say it out loud, but I really love that theme. Although I do worry that we threaten to really undermine that by introducing something like AI, which probably is the opposite of simplification. So tell me, what's your experience so far? Is the new AI team member been pulling its weight?
You'll be pleased to know, Ryan, that yes, it has. You can see on this slide some of the key responsibilities of my team. So we have things like survey maintenance, creating reports, building customer personas and journey maps, sharing insights across the organization, and lastly, which is that largest segment I think on the pie chart, categorizing customer feedback. So when we welcomed the AI capability of Capiche into the team, we were able to free up resources by eliminating the time taken basically to analyze every single piece of customer feedback and categorize it into themes. It's pretty scary and also depressing when I think about previous me, but Capiche helped us to analyze in minutes what used to take, as I said, 3 team members 3 days to complete. And it's, suffice to say, it was a huge productivity gain for our team and a no-brainer for why we obtained exec support for introducing Capiche into our toolkit. And so the other really cool thing, aside from just the productivity gains, was that Capiche was able to help us quantify customer segment of the unstructured data gathered from our in-platform opt-in feedback. So we have a little feedback tab within our Exchange platform where customers can click that button and opt in anytime to give us feedback, product suggestions, improvement opportunities and things like that. It doesn't have any score or metric attached to it. So we've always found it really, really hard to theme it and really understand customer sentiment behind it. And so it was amazing that with the capability within the Capiche tool, it was able to not only help us understand that customer sentiment, but also quantify it. So really connect it back to a number.
Sounds like AI has helped you have some really amazing productivity gains. That's great. And looking at that pie chart, looks like there's a big chunk of your time that was taken up doing a manual task you've now got back. So I'm curious, what's your team been able to do with the additional time they now have?
Yeah, we've all gone on holiday. No, so the feedback, theming, and insights reporting, that was previously our bread and butter, but it took up so much time that the team wasn't really able to get to the good stuff. And that was really those value add activities of actually communicating the insights out to stakeholders, influencing them to make decisions and driving positive change for customers. And when you've got team members who have grown beyond just the feedback, theming, and the reporting skill set, you need to make the time to give them the opportunity to develop these different types of skills, stakeholder negotiation, influencing skills, to actually have the time to be part of meetings and be present in that decision-making process, and to really showcase to the rest of the organization just how valuable these team members are beyond, your standard kind of reporting analyst type of a function. And so a really exciting byproduct, I think, of bringing the Capiche capability on board has been our ability to maintain and even increase team engagement and professional development.
Yeah, I really do think that insights teams underestimate how important those influencing skills are and how important those conversations are with other stakeholders around letting them know what's going on and demonstrating why it's important. So I'm glad to hear that you've had more time to do that. Has there been changes in how you report out to the rest of the business?
Yes. So I mentioned before that we were spending 3 days a month producing these really, really detailed customer insights reports. After we introduced Capiche into the toolkit, the insight reports have actually gone from about 20 pages down to 5 pages long. And they now hone in very specifically on the key drivers of customer satisfaction. We understand the impact on customer satisfaction of each of these different drivers, and we're able to actually use this as a key component of business cases and as a forecast of benefits, which is pretty exciting. And we all know that that's kind of the holy grail of customer insights teams. But I think this didn't happen kind of overnight. We really started small. So first, we imported all of our customer verbatim into Capiche to analyze the themes and the customer sentiment behind them. And we visualized those insights in the storyboard that you can see on the screen here. And we used that storyboard to hook in our stakeholders, including our senior leaders, with the bright and shiny colors. I don't know what it is about bright and shiny colored things, but execs seem to love it. So that's what we went with at the start. But this really gave us the foot in the door to dive deeper and share the drivers behind the customer satisfaction and their impact on it. And once we got our foot in the door, we started bringing in other sources of customer insight that weren't just limited to feedback. We had CRM notes, call transcripts, support tickets, and these things really help to paint the full picture of what customers are telling us. And I think I don't need to tell this group that surveys are only one source of feedback that we get from our customers. They're telling us anything and everything all day across a myriad of channels, whether we are actually asking for it or not.
Yeah, and this is really the holy grail, right? When you're able to add in all of the different sources of feedback data, including those unsolicited sources and not just the survey sources, becomes a real game changer for truly understanding your customers. But having said that, all of this is for naught if you're not getting insights into the hands of the people that need them when they need them, right?
Yeah, absolutely. As I said, insights, just having them wasn't enough. We needed to have better insights. And then we also needed to find a way to tailor these insights to specific teams at the right time with the right level of exec sponsorship. And after demonstrating the power of Capiche in analysing customer data and predicting the impact of customer sentiment, I'm really excited to say that we now have a standing agenda item in our monthly exec leadership team meeting, which is great, where we provide an update on these drivers and any movement, as well as, and I think this is the important part, the action being taken on these drivers. We now play a really key role in our organisation's product development lifecycle. Problem and opportunity identification comes from our insights, and we're involved throughout that product development to ensure that customer listening is built before the product is launched to market, which is pretty exciting. And we're also bringing customer insights to the people. While everyone in the organisation is able to log into a dashboard and view customer feedback, we know that's additional effort on top of their day jobs. And, you know, the running theme of simplification rings true here. I mentioned before that we integrated customer feedback into our CRM, but we've also integrated it into the company Slack channel. And we've got plans to build a Jira integration as well. So customer feedback can automatically be put into product and tech teams' backlogs. And I think the really cool thing that we're aspiring to is being able to monitor the progress of actions we're taking based on customer feedback and data.
You know, I think this is a really amazing story because I think you demonstrate the arc and the actual true value of getting AI to help in the customer insight space. Obviously, there is the headline on the box, oh, we've got so much more time. AI is making us more efficient because it's taking manual tasks off our plate. And that's great. And everyone should be able to relatively easily see the benefit of that. But I think more importantly, what it's getting you is the time back to do really important work like tailoring insights to the teams that need to see them and getting them at the right time, and ultimately increasing how much the business relies upon, depends upon, and has in the internal standing they see of the insights in the VoC function. And that increase in that's what the AI should be delivering to you, up and above and beyond those productivity gains. So I'm really happy to see that's happening for you. Integrating with the platforms like the CRM and Slack, has it changed how teams are thinking about or acting on customer feedback? I know you alluded to it before with the frontline teams. Has it led to more proactive decision-making across the organization?
Yeah, I think so. You can see on the screen here, this is an example of a piece of customer feedback coming through our Slack channel. And it's, you know, amazing to see the level of collaboration and conversation that's happening here between, and probably cannot read the words, but there is, I'll just just have to believe me, there is a level of collaboration happening between our frontline team and our product team. Conversations like this used to happen before the integration, but it was very much, who you knew in the organization, and the outcome was only communicated back to that one person. So only they would know whether action would actually be taken on a piece of customer feedback, or whether something was, going to be popped on the backlog, or whether something was just not going to be, completed at all. And so the Slack integration has been a really great way to not only promote this level of collaboration between teams, but then also close the loop at that broader team level on the different actions that are being taken.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you want to go a little bit deeper on that? Are you able to give some examples of decision-making since introducing Capiche and AI, and maybe contrast kind of pre-AI and post-AI decision-making?
Yeah, one example that springs to mind is a process we have here at PEXA where our customers sign off on property settlements using a digital certificate, which is kind of like a USB that you plug into your computer. Hopefully no one from security is on this call, but yes, we used to tell our customers to plug a USB into their computer. Anecdotally, we'd hear from frontline teams and read customer feedback that these digital certificates would cause our customers just a little bit of grief when it came to ordering new ones, troubleshooting signing issues, and the plastic casing itself of the digital certificate breaking. This customer pain point would be raised year on year for prioritization on the roadmap, but it never made it past the backlog. So when we started using Capiche, we were able to upload our customer feedback and combine it with operational data points like our call transcripts and our CRM notes to really dive deep into what our customers were telling us about digital certificates. And what we were able to see was whenever digital certificates is mentioned, so that phrase, our CSAT drops a whopping 45 points to 45%. And one of the most frequently mentioned phrases in our CRM notes is sticky tape process, which is basically one of the ways our call center agents were advising customers on how to fix the broken casing on a digital certificate. So literally wrap the sticky tape around it. So once we combined all of that with the call data on how many calls about this issue was coming through, combined it with how long it takes to resolve each issue, not to mention the cost involved in sending out these replacement digital certificates, it was a pretty compelling case to prioritize. And I'm really excited to say that we went live with our new solution where customers are now signing on their mobile devices instead. Hooray. Just last week. So our customers are absolutely loving it. We're getting some amazing feedback coming through from them. So I'm really excited to track the end impact of this initiative.
Yeah, that's so cool. I hope that positive feedback continues. And it's really amazing that you're able to change that customer experience, arguably modernize that customer experience off the back of seeing feedback and not just feedback, but those CRM notes as well, like really getting all those different signals and being able to integrate them to drive a decision is amazing. It sounds like you and the team have had a significant impact on the VoC program in CX. So I want to ask you about perhaps my favorite topic right now in this space. How do you know that you and the VoC team are making a difference and adding value to PEXA?
It's a good question. And aside from people telling us that we're making a difference, and aside from the overall customer satisfaction score that everyone at PEXA has in their scorecards, we actually hold ourselves accountable and we measure ourselves on things like being able to demonstrate that the product team has made, at least 3 improvements based on our insights in the last financial year, or being able to demonstrate that X dollars of revenue or Y percentage of cost reduction has occurred based on our insights, and being able to really draw that causal link. I think when it comes to KPIs, you can measure your own internal productivity benefits and stuff like that, but it's not necessarily going to translate into something that's meaningful for the business. And we want to have that seat at the table and influence those key business decisions. And so that means that we need to be anchored to and accountable for the goals that the business are trying to achieve. And it means that all of our work needs to align to our business's strategy, and we need to be seen as part of the business as opposed to kind of like a consultant to the business or an afterthought to the business. And that was one of the key reasons why our KPIs are so interconnected with other teams at PEXA, like our product team. They have in their KPIs, deliver X number of improvements in this financial year, stuff like that. And what gets measured gets managed, as we all know. And it's been a really great incentive for all of us to work quite closely together to achieve these outcomes collectively.
That's such a great answer. This has been great. Emma, you are a superstar. Can you wrap all this up for us today in some key takeaways before we get to answering the questions that are on the Q&A tab?
Yeah, absolutely. So the key things to focus on when you're embarking on a CX transformation, in my opinion, is to set up your foundations for success. We've talked a lot about that today. But what I mean by foundations are building a strong customer-centric foundation in your customer listening across your products, customer touchpoints, and customer journeys. Ensuring your ways of working are set up to enable and empower teams to consume these insights and take action on them in a really continuous, iterative way. We started with a really small use case to determine the benefits of using AI to senior leaders, and then we obtained their buy-in to expand across a range of customer feedback and operational data. And then finally, we really just embraced AI as an honorary team member. I think my biggest learning over the last 18 months is you don't need to understand the ins and outs of how to build an AI bot. Really glad you didn't ask me how to do it, Ryan, because I have no idea. But you do need to understand how you can use it to complement the way you work. We used it to save time on manual cumbersome tasks. We also use the capability within Capiche to quantify customer sentiment in our unstructured data so that we could start to link all of this stuff to business outcomes. And then we had all of this free time, which we didn't go on a holiday, unfortunately. However, we did use that additional time that was freed up to embed these sharper insights and conversations and business benefits into our organization's way of working. And I think some of the results that we've touched on today speak for themselves.
Yeah, that's amazing. I want to double down on something that you've said there. I think a well-functioning AI to deal with the customer feedback and help you understand it obviously should produce better insights. And I think there is a common misconception that the journey ends there. And I think what you've clearly demonstrated a couple of times now in this talk and what you've reiterated here is it doesn't stop there. It's then upon you to make sure these insights reach the right people at the right time, get seen, and then ultimately action is taken. Because if the action isn't taken, it doesn't matter how good the insight is, it's worthless to the business. Okay, Q&A. There's a lot of questions. So let's get to them. I'm going to try pressing this button on my interface to see what it does. I'm hoping that it does what I think it's going to do. It does. This question, close to home, Emma. What piece of the transformation journey are you most proud of? Thank you, Danielle.
Thank you, Danielle. Spoiler alert, Danielle's in my team. So my answer to that question is I'm most proud of Danielle. The amazing tool that we have in Capiche is nothing when you don't have the culture and the team and the people around you to bring it to life and not only maximize the capability and how we use it, but also take those insights and communicate it out to the rest of the organization. And so I think, as you said before, Ryan, the tool is one thing, but how you use it and how you embed it into your organization's way of working is another thing. And we haven't necessarily, been governed by a specific tool or tools when we've thought about this transformation. We've really thought about that end business outcome, that end customer outcome. And that's been our North Star throughout the whole transformation journey.
Awesome. Thank you. This question came from the audience in the audience tab, and Rhiannon's reposted it here to the Q&A section. I think it was asked around about the time that you were talking about adopting the new VoC platform and how you're able to do more active listening. So I don't think that you were referring to interviews or focus groups. What I do think that you're referring to, and correct me if I'm wrong, is some of the capabilities of that platform to prompt for better feedback. Could you give us a little bit more of an insight into what that looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do interviews and focus groups here at PEXA. And one of the great things we've been able to do through Capiche is upload those, interviews and the transcripts into the tool and really help us to understand the themes behind it. Although I wouldn't necessarily discount just reading through the transcript yourself as well when it comes to an interview. When I referred specifically to active listing, I was talking about our customer listing program is actually quite digital heavy. So we don't have a lot of email-based surveys here at PEXA. We know that our customers who are lawyers, conveyancers, banks, property developers, they're bombarded with emails on a daily basis. They don't have time to sit there and click through all of the buttons and, give us feedback and take 15 minutes to do that. So what we've done is we've actually built in pop-up surveys within the technology platform that we offer to our customers. And so these little pop-up surveys within the platform are just a very simple customer satisfaction question and then a little box for verbatim. And when a customer is typing in the verbatim, we'll prompt them to give us more feedback within that box. So if they write, a single word of good, we'll say, why was it good? We have a little gamification counter on the side of the little verbatim box, which kind of goes from red to green as the length of the verbatim increase. And we've really seen, absolutely an increase in the length of feedback, but I also think in the detail of the feedback coming through from customers from doing that.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's a fantastic use of technology. I think this question from Bob is for me. I think it's important to understand that Capiche doesn't replace your survey tool. And so when Emma's been talking about changing VoC providers, what she's really talking about is changing the organization that provides the surveying. Capiche needs to be deployed alongside a VoC or sometimes called an experience management solution. We can't do the surveying for you. You need to use an external vendor to do that. And some of the features that you've been talking about just before, Emma, are as a result of that survey or VoC vendor, which I, again, to reiterate, really love those features. Another question from the audience tab that Rhiannon helpfully reposted here. How long did it take to overhaul your VoC and Insights program? I think you said at the start 18 months, right?
Yeah, 18 months. The actual technology implementation for the new VoC tool, that took about 4 to 5 months or so to move from one to another. Pleasingly, Capiche took us, I think it was 2 days. So I think that speaks volumes about the level of ease that a tool like this, brings to the toolkit. You can get up and running in a couple of days. We imported all of our customer feedback in. We had, 40,000 rows of data, which, in the grand scheme of things isn't much, but 40,000 rows of data imported into the tool. That probably took a couple of hours maybe. Got it set up, tuned it, took a couple of hours to tune it, and then away we went. So that was probably the quickest part of implementation.
Amazing. Question here from Rupa. How did you connect the frontline team with the rest of the organization?
That's a really good question. So I mentioned the Slack channel where our frontline team members, as well as our product and tech teams, they're all part of that same Slack channel. So that really promotes collaboration across the teams and communication. The other thing that we do on an annual basis, and I'm really excited because this week is Customer Week here at PEXA. So it means we have an entire week where we immerse ourselves in everything customer. We do various activities throughout this week, but the thing that's happening today is we have customer call listening, and that's opened up to the entire organization. We have a couple of our amazing support team members who are going to be taking calls, for, I think it was a 4-hour period today, and anyone can join and listen in on the background. And I think nothing beats sitting down next to a customer support team member as they're speaking to our customers, because you really see the superstars that they are. They go above and beyond to help our customers. And we have, I'm really, really proud to say we have a 90% customer satisfaction here at PEXA. And whenever it's somebody who's dealt with a customer support team member, that customer satisfaction is 95%. And so I'm really, really proud of our customer support team. And I'm so excited for, our organization to hear the amazing level of service that they deliver to, because I think that it's very powerful to hear it firsthand.
A couple of questions here that are mostly for me and a little bit for you, then one question to finish on, which I think is a really great question to finish on. So first, one that reads, reposted from the audience tab, does Capiche work well with other customer data such as complaints? Short answer to that question is yes. We initially start with customer survey data because it's the most burning need that people have initially before implementing a solution like Capiche, and then very quickly get into all sources of customer feedback, complaints, support calls, live chats, socials, online reviews, and various other things. A question here from Michael: how manual or automated is the process of bringing verbatims from various points into Capiche for analysis? And do you have one central place dashboard to give a 360-degree view of VoC? So bringing data into Capiche, you can do it manually if you so choose, but the idea is that for it to be fully automated, so data should be automatically flowing from various systems. That capability is quite easy. You'll find that the most difficult part of that capability is actually working with other internal teams to get access to that data. On the central VoC dashboard, I wouldn't say that's a capability Capiche offers, a 360-degree of VoC. I would also say that I've not found dashboards to be a great way to engage the business around insights. But Emma, I'm keen if you've got anything to add on that subject.
Yeah, I agree, Ryan. We do have one central place for a 360-degree view of the customer, and that's our CRM. And that's where I believe, where everybody should go to see anything to do with our customers. There are definitely going to be teams who want to dive deeper into that customer feedback, who want to dive deeper into the trends, the drivers, all of that type of stuff. And so we also have, direct access to our voice of customer tool for those teams. But we've often found as well that when we're engaging different teams across the organization, they are so busy trying to do their own jobs that it's often, that afterthought of even just logging into a voice of customer dashboard that's just put in the too hard basket. And so I tend to agree with you, Ryan, where it's basically about us bringing those insights to the people. And we do that through really bite-sized, consumable pieces of information. We do that through various forums and dialogue, and we do that in kind of short, sharp moments through Slack as well.
Yeah. Super. I couldn't agree with you more on that. And just to reiterate something you said in the conversation as well, for those frontline staff, having yet another dashboard they need to log into to have a look at something just isn't it. Putting it into the CRM, I think, is a masterstroke, and meeting them where they're already working is great. Another question came through, a very mechanical one that I'll answer quickly. Are themes based on keywords in Capiche? You can do themes based on keywords. It's a difficult question to answer because at the end of the day, if your categorization of feedback isn't based on the language that people are using, then what are you categorizing on? So in a sense, yes, all categorization of data, no matter how you do it with AI, is based on what people are saying and therefore would be based on keywords. Do you have to sit there and manually type in what the keywords are that you want to categorize by? No. Last question. The really awesome question that I'm keen to end this presentation on, and this is for you to answer, Emma. Learning from the transformation journey, what is something you wish you knew at the beginning that you now know?
Oh, that's a really good question.
Yeah, it's great.
It's actually amazing to sit back and think and really reflect on all of the different things that we've achieved in our transformation journey. And that's only been, an 18-month period. And we feel like we're just getting started, to be honest. But one of the biggest learnings I would take away from the last 18 months is you don't need to necessarily have a really big budget to do a CX transformation. You can start your CX transformation tomorrow. Everybody on this call probably has some sort of survey tool or customer feedback program or voice of customer listening platform. You can make changes to your survey questions tomorrow or even today. You don't need to spend, your hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars changing tool, changing provider, implementing various things. You can very much take those baby steps, with almost no cost involved. I think the other thing that we've really taken to heart is we have such a small team here at PEXA, and our time's really valuable, and we have amazing skills and we have a lot of value that we can add to the rest of the organization. And so really taking out those time-consuming tasks that were forcing us to kind of sit on our own, not engage with other people, just to produce some report that no one was listening to, that really wasn't worth our time. And so when we did spend the money, we chose it to spend the money on something that would give us not only the productivity benefits, but would enable us to use our time for more value add activities. And so I think that's absolutely, a decision point to consider throughout your transformation journey as well.
Great answer. Emma, thank you so much for joining us. This is an amazing presentation. You are a superstar. Enjoy the rest of your customer week.
Thank you. I will. Thanks, everybody, for having me.